Alright, so I've said this so many times in other videos, but it's time it gets its own video. The title of this video will be something like Quit Peeing on Sticks, Why Keto Sticks don't tell you anything about your progress for fat loss on a ketogenic diet. Okay, so I've talked about before how it's a common misconception that just being in ketosis means you're going to lose fat, means you're going to lose weight. Just being in ketosis alone does not mean that you're going to be losing body fat. You can elevate your ketones by eating a lot of MCT. You can elevate your ketones by eating a lot of exogenous ketones. You can eat like 5,000 calories of fat and technically be in ketosis, burning fat, but that doesn't mean you're going to be burning your body fat. So I've said hundreds of times that medical ketogenic diet ratios are not required and are not even desired by people looking to lose body fat. And for those of you who will argue with this that you need 80% fat because you've heard people parroting and repeating things about medical ketogenic diets developed in the 1920s for children with refractory epilepsy, kids with drug-resistant epilepsy, to keep them from having seizures, people who are repeating these ratios, these 3-to-1, 4-to-1 fat to protein ratios that were required to keep these kids in deep ketosis to maintain stable brain chemistry. This is where the ketogenic diet originally was named and where it originally came from. Now, most individuals going for fat loss are not going to be on a medical ketogenic diet. That means you don't have to do 80% fat. You can reference Stephen Finney's recent talk. Maybe I don't know, I'll put a link in the description below. And he puts up this chart that he's shown in several other lectures showing that this 80% fat dogma is just that. It's crazy dogma. It's ridiculous. If you're trying to lose body fat, your diet could look like 50% dietary fat. And the other percentage, the other 20, 30, 40% of your diet will be coming from your body fat. You want to be tapping into your body fat. So if you're eating loads of fats and thinking that because you're in ketosis you're going to lose body fat, I'm sorry, you've been misled. Just being in ketosis doesn't guarantee fat loss. And you can lose fat without being in ketosis. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. So this video is about KETOSTIX. It's about quantifying ketosis, right? So a lot of individuals, the ketogenic diet is becoming very popular now. There's a lot of people kind of jumping on the bandwagon. There's tons of new material. YouTube channels like bodybuilding.com sponsoring these bodybuilder dudes to talk about a ketogenic diet. And there's so much repetition of the same old disinformation and the same old myths. And it's unfortunate for people who are just trying to lose body fat because there's a lot of confusion out there. I'm constantly trying to sweep up the mess here with this channel and tell you the straight up truth. So I'm going to tell you right now, throw away your keto sticks. They're pretty much useless. They are pretty much useless. Now, there's several reasons why. First of all, they only measure your levels of acetoacetate in your pee. Now, why is there acetoacetate in your pee? Why are your kidneys deciding to excrete this ketone body? Acetoacetate is a ketone body. It is a byproduct of the breakdown of fatty acids by the liver. And in the beginning, when you're first starting ketosis, when you're first dropping those carbohydrates, you will be producing a significant amount of acetoacetate, and you'll be urinating it out. You know why? Because you're not keeping it in your blood because your body doesn't know what to do with it yet. Your muscle tissues, your brain, your heart are not well adapted. Your mitochondria have not adapted yet to burning fat as energy, to utilizing ketones as a consistent source of energy. So you're excreting it through the urine. So that's the first thing. You're measuring when you're peeing on a stick. These little sticks, I don't know what they cost. Maybe like 50 cents a piece. Overpriced. Waste of money. Don't buy them. It's useless. But every time you're peeing on one of these little sticks, not only are you wasting this stick and wasting your money, you're measuring the wasted ketones that you're not using, the ketones that are not in your blood. You're pissing them out because you're not burning them for energy. You're not using them to generate energy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is once you're starting to adapt to a ketogenic diet, when you're starting to adapt to a ketogenic diet, you will have higher ratio of acetoacetate in both your blood and your urine But as you get deeper adaptation, the deeper adaptation, you can reference The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living by Stephen Finney and Jeff Volek. Very good book if you want to. I mean, these are some of the top researchers in the ketogenic diets, and this book was published several years ago, but it's very, very useful. So check it out. Um, After a while, after you start to get better adapted to ketosis, you will have lower levels of acetoacetate, meaning that if you're well adapted to a ketogenic diet, first of all, you're not going to be peeing out ketones because most of them are going to be used by your brain, your heart, your muscle tissues, and it'll be in your blood. You won't be pissing it out. Your kidneys are not going to be telling you, your kidneys are not going to be giving the signal, this is too much, we're not using this energy source, let's urinate this out. But also, you will have less acetoacetate and higher levels of what's called beta-hydroxybutyrate. Now, beta-hydroxybutyrate is actually created from acetoacetate. So, all these big words, big confusing words to a lot of people who don't even care about these terms, right? Basically, you're peeing out ketones. Those are the ketones you're wasting. Later on, there's another type of ketone, beta-hydroxybutyrate. When you're well adapted to ketosis, this one will be higher and acetoacetate levels will be much lower. Something like less than 20% will be acetoacetate, whereas in the beginning, it's very high. I don't want to throw out an exact number, but I think it might be like somewhere between 50 and 80% would be acetoacetate. All right. So there's why the keto strips are useless, the keto sticks. If you really need to quantify your ketosis, if you really want to know that you are in ketosis, you know what you need to do? You got to measure your blood beta-hydroxybutyrate levels. But here's another question for you. Why is it necessary that you measure and quantify ketosis? If you are restricting carbohydrates sufficiently, if you are not eating pounds and pounds of meat, and some people use this, excess protein will turn into glucose. This is an oversimplification, this whole gluconeogenesis thing. All the research shows that gluconeogenesis is a demand-driven process, not a supply-driven process. But if you do eat an excess of amino acids, your body will be told, hey, this could be an energy source. So you will begin oxidizing those. But we need to define these things, right? People just say, oh, you're eating too much protein, not eating enough fat, without defining these parameters. So excess protein, if you look at like the work of Finney and Volek, for instance, they would say that that upper threshold would be about 3 grams per kilogram and up, and per kilogram of your body weight. So if you weigh 70 kilos and you're eating like upwards of, what would that be? My public education system arithmetic, right? Yeah, I mean, if you weigh 70 kilos and you're eating like 210 grams of protein, then you'll be reaching that upper level threshold of having too much protein where you're oxidizing more amino acids and your body is not going to use energy to create ketone bodies from the fatty acids or create ketone bodies and utilize them as your primary source of energy. That's a lot. That's a lot of protein that you got to eat to push that upper limit. I'm not going to get into the whole protein thing too deeply. I've talked about this so many times. It's something that people love to argue about and get into dogma about. It really doesn't matter, right? Let's focus on the hard facts. Let's focus on what's real. If you want to measure your ketosis, the only way to do it objectively is not those pee strips. Those pee strips are useless. I'm sorry. You wasted your money. You've been listening to the wrong people who've been telling you to measure it with pee strips, or that it's important to measure it at all. Why don't you measure your fat adaptation, your level of keto adaptation, by your clarity of mind, by your ability to generate energy steadily throughout the day, by your ability to focus your mind and your brain throughout the day. These are sometimes much better metrics for people to use than a $5 a piece keto strip, blood ketone measuring strip that you put in a little Ketonics blood glucose meter that are made for diabetics to measure their blood glucose as well as blood ketones. These things cost $5 a pop in the States. If you're lucky, you can find them for like $3. It used to be $2. Yeah, what a coincidence. The popularity of a ketogenic diet coinciding with the rise in price of these blood ketone measuring strips. But that's the only way to measure it. And in my opinion, it's a waste of time and a waste of money anyways. if you restrict your carbohydrates enough, you're eating a well-formulated ketogenic diet, you give yourself time to adapt, you'll be in ketosis. You'll be feeling good. Your hunger levels will be low. You'll be able to go long periods of time without eating. That's another way that you'll be able to tell that you're well adapted to ketosis. You go long times between meals, you forget to eat, it doesn't bother you. You're not tripping on it because you've got plenty of body fat to tap into. Even the leanest individuals have a lot of body fat to tap into. I'm pretty lean right now, and I've got a lot of body fat that I can tap into. I can go long periods of time without eating, but when I become hungry, it's not like this insane blood glucose crash, feeling horrible. When I'm done burning my body fat, when I get hungry, I just get a little hungry. I eat my food, I eat my proteins, my fats, my veggies, and I move on with my life. So, measuring blood ketones, not going to tell you how much body fat you're losing. Not going to tell you your worth as a human being. Not going to tell you how successful your day is. Not going to tell you how successful your so-called diet or your lifestyle changes are. There are so many reasons why you might have lower blood ketones temporarily or elevated blood ketones temporarily. Like I said before, eating MCTs, taking exogenous ketones, fasting for long periods of time might raise your ketones up. If you measure your ketones right after a meal, they might be a little bit lower. If you measure them right when you wake up in the morning, and your blood glucose rises, when you have your natural cortisol rise with your circadian rhythm, then you might have higher blood glucose and a little bit lower blood ketones. If you just did an intense workout, you just burned all those ketones, and your blood glucose will be a little bit higher naturally, your blood ketones will be a bit lower. So we need to stop obsessing over blood ketones and over ketones in general. All right, so ketone strips, just measure what you're wasting. And you can also measure the money that you're wasting on them because they're basically useless. So that's it. You can find more at primaledgehealth.com. Make sure to check out my wife's cookbook, Jessica's cookbook, the Ketogenic Edge cookbook, a training manual for low-carb, ketogenic, and paleo cuisine. She worked on this book for over a year and a half. It's finally out. It's in ebook format. It's it's definitely the quintessential keto cookbook that you're going to find. We call it a training manual because it's just that. It trains you how to be a master chef in your keto kitchen. She's been doing this high-fat food prep for, like 4 years now. I mean, even before we got into a ketogenic diet, we were doing a very high-fat diet. So she's pretty much a whiz in the kitchen, and she put all this love, all this energy into this book. So if you guys are trying to start a ketogenic diet, trying to get familiar with the tools of the keto kitchen, this book is for you. So check it out on our website. It's only available at primaledgehealth.com. We're not selling it on Amazon. We have not joined the keto paleo publishing mafia. It's all self-published, and we appreciate everybody supporting people putting out independent content like this, and we thank you guys for all the positive reviews, and everybody who's enjoying the book, thank you so much for all the positive comments, and thanks for enjoying it. So you can find more at primaledgehealth.com. If you want coaching, you can hit us up at the coaching section. Lots of content to come. See you guys next time. Throw away your keto sticks. They're useless.